Hey guys, day 6, and I don't want to screw around anymore. I'm going to go right to my favorite horror movie uh, of all time, and just got done watching it, and it's still my favorite horror movie of all time. One of my favorite movies of all time, actually. Just a wonderfully made movie, great cinematography, beautiful music, creepy, scary music, actually. Great job of direction from a fantastic novel which I read as a kid and terrified me, and terrorized me, as did the movie when I saw that in the theaters. And I did see it in the theaters, so uh, yeah, spooky stuff. And it was scary then, it's scary now. It's one of these movies that makes you think. So without further ado, my favorite horror movie of all time, and up next, The Exorcist. What can be said about this masterpiece of a film based on a novel by William Peter Blatty and directed by the great William Friedkin? This is a fantastic film, well acted by all, but particularly, in my opinion, Max von Sydow, Ellen Burstyn, Lee J. Cobb, Jason Miller, he played Father Karras, and most especially, I think, Linda Blair, who just did a wonderful job as Reagan in this. And it really is just an iconic film. Everybody's seen The Exorcist, I think. Most people, when they first saw it, were scared by it. Not many things scare me too much anymore, but I care about the characters enough that I feel for them. I feel for the mother. I feel for Reagan. I feel for the old priest who coming to have this showdown with the demon that he's had before and barely made it through the last one, and here he is, no longer a young man. And the young priest who's kind of swept into the whole thing and really doesn't know what he's getting into. You know, he's heard of an exorcism but never really did one, and the more he learns, the more he his own faith is challenged. I read this when I first got it in the digibook version, which is what I have, and probably in other versions too. I guess there's a letter from William Friedkin, and I've kept this about as nice as I can. It really is on some really nice paper. I don't know what kind of paper this is, but it's nice paper, and it's almost see-through paper. It's really cool. Anyway, enough about the paper. Let me tell you what it says. It says a personal message from William Friedkin. A series of unpredictable twists of fate brought Bill Blatty and me together to make the film of The Exorcist. We met 4 years earlier about a script he had written that I didn't like. He appreciated my candor, but we didn't see each other again until, inexplicably, he sent me his novel, which I thought was a masterpiece of suspense and a positive statement about God, the human condition, and the relationship between the two. When he asked me to direct a film of it, I was flattered and humbled. We approached the film from different perspectives. Blatty, as a Catholic who believes there is a supernatural force of evil in the universe, whose game plan is to convince us it does not exist. My own approach was more pragmatic. This is a great story that raises more questions than it provides answers. Our mutual goal was to make the film so realistic that it would be impossible for the audience not to believe it. Over the years, I'm drawn closer to Blatty's belief in the mystery of faith, and that if there are demons, there are also angels. As Hamlet says to his friend Horatio, there are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in your philosophy. My gratitude to Warner Home Video for presenting this high-definition Blu-ray, which was color-timed by the cinematographer Owen Ralsman and myself, and represents the very best print ever made of The Exorcist. Enjoy, William Friedkin. And there's a signature at the bottom. Obviously, it's a mass-produced thing. I know for 1 minute I think he sat down and signed all these, but I did check to see if there was any evidence of that. There's not. What do I want to say about The Exorcist? It It takes place primarily in Georgetown, which isn't that far from me, an hour or so, hour and a half maybe. Georgetown, college town, Washington town, the kind of place where you wouldn't expect this kind of movie to be shot. You'd expect it to be shot in Salem or in a small town in Maine maybe, or someplace in Bulgaria or just some old European city someplace. But Georgetown, even in the 70s when this came out, was a bustling community, busy community. Politicians, famous people lived there. Students were there. It was a busy, respectable place. Still is, if you consider Washington to be a respectable town. And so to have this evil enter into the world of these quote-unquote normal people, kind of like in Poltergeist, Poltergeist kind of creeps up on you. This is not a review of Poltergeist, but it's kind of the same kind of premise there, that, normal people who find it amusing that blocks are piling up by themselves, and friendly, it was almost like Casper the Friendly Ghost is here, and bang. Well, it wasn't even that good here. I mean, from the moment the evil enters their world, things are not good. And Reagan's mother immediately wants to try to get help. And she takes her to doctors. She takes her to psychiatrists. She takes her to anybody who will listen, to try to find some way to free her from what is obviously a troubling situation. Now, there's no head spinning and vomiting at this point. She's simply troubled, and she's acting out, and she's cursing, and she's doing some things she hasn't done before, and some things were inexplicable. But it goes from that to very quickly, not too quickly, behavior that can't be explained normally. And when that happens, this little girl, Linda Blair, starts to become what we see later in the film, a person possessed by a demon. And, this bothered me for years, this film. The book bothered me first, because being raised Catholic, like William Peter Blatty, my beliefs were that there were such things as devils, and there were such things as demons, and that they could possess somebody given the right circumstances. It would be rare, but when they did, it would be evil. And there would be only a few ways to get rid of them. Typically, exorcism would be the one. And only the Catholics can perform it, apparently, for whatever reason. Maybe they're the only ones who believe it. But it was haunting, to say the least. The special effects in this are not special effects. They are not CGI anyway. Before CGI, so everything that was done in the movie was done with fans and throwing things into the to make it look like things were swirling around, and different things like that. The makeup job was extraordinary. The voice that would come out of Reagan was eerie and creepy and ominous at the same time. The lighting was superb. When the priests ascend the stairs to first do battle with the demon, equipped with just holy water and a Bible, and their cassocks and surplice and so on, the priests wear. Cassocks, the robe, the white vestment is that they wear over the thing is the surplice. And they usually had stoles that they wore over their necks. It's a very ritualistic ceremony, this, as a lot of things in the older Catholic religion were, back when they had Latin in the religion, in the Mass and so on. But very ritualistic, everything they do. But ascending the stairs and first opening that door, and to see their breath coming out because it was so cold, and the darkness in the room, and very little light, and to have this demon lying there, cursing and spitting and saying things that no little girl would ever think to say, was very disturbing, very disturbing. And I worried for the priests, and I still do when I watch it, even though I know how it ends. It is a disturbing movie. all the way around. But so well done, so well shot. Of course, the tubular bells, the music. I mean, I think only the theme from Halloween even comes close to evoking that instant acknowledgement that this is The Exorcist. As soon as you hear that music start, just like with Halloween, you know immediately what you're in for. Very, very spooky. So, I can only heap so many praises on it. You must have seen it. It's been called the scariest film of all time. I don't know if that's a good thing that it's called that, because it has certainly a reputation to live up to when someone says it's the scariest movie you'll ever see. It doesn't have gruesome deaths in it, but it does have the definite feeling that something will not go right here, that this battle against this demon is not going to go well. And in the end, it doesn't really go so well. If the only outcome were that Reagan and her mother be free of the demon, then I guess it was a success. But there's certainly so many other ways it could have been more successful. Just love this movie. So glad I watched it again. One of the beauties of the 31 Nights of Horror is not 31 reviews, but reviews I could do anytime, but to sit down and watch a scary movie every night, or a horror movie every night, some of them aren't so scary, but at least it's in the horror vein, is a treat. To, you almost have to force yourself to set aside the time, as I just did. And I just watched the theatrical version, by the way. I'm not a huge fan of the extended version of most movies. I feel like it's good to watch them because it's good to see sometimes what the director originally intended. But seeing as I remember seeing the theatrical version almost every time I've seen it, it's like an old familiar friend, if that can be, if you can consider a movie like this a friend. So, still disturbing, still somewhat bothersome to watch, to think that these things could exist and they could enter into anybody, your child, my child, you, me, is a disquieting thought, to say the least. But makes for a good movie, no doubt. And maybe one that stays with you long after the credits roll at the end. It's The Exorcist. In this case, the extended cut along with the original theatrical release. William Peter Blatty's The Exorcist, directed by William Friedkin. Perhaps the scariest movie of all time. That's it, guys. Take care.